They're from Carwow, brands that's sort of growing and growing and growing and making waves in that industry. And we're going to hear from Victoria Bruce, who's Media Partnerships Manager, and Michael Oates, who's CRM Program Manager. And their talk is the imperfect customer journey, how car buyers are finding the best car for them. The imperfect customer journey, that's something no one wants. So I think I'm going to ask my next two speakers to come and join me now on stage. And as they wind their way up, I'll just keep talking. I hope you enjoyed today. A few more things from me. Please don't forget to ask questions on the app, either phone or tablet. It makes my life much easier. And you'll get more exciting stuff while the media's talking. Thank you. And now it's over to you two.
Hi, guys. So I'm Mike. This is Victoria. We're from Carwow. So today we're going to be talking about the perfect customer journey. What is it, if it exists? So we have over 20,000 five-star Trustpilot reviews and help over 2 million customers each and every year find the right car for them. That's exactly why we think we're well placed to talk about the customer journey today. Car buyers come to Carwow and configure the car that they're interested in. So they plug in the details such as the model, the engine, the trim, the color. And our dealer partners will then send out 5 offers for each car they configure. The average Carwow purchaser configures 5 different models from 3 brands. They inquire at 2 dealers before making the one purchase. But what do we know about averages? They hide the extremes, right? This user configured 38 different models from 12 different brands and even configured 2 Jaguars after making their purchase. But this only actually shows part of the journey. What were they doing before they started configuring cars? So let's take a step back for a minute. Most car buyers come to Carwow to figure out which car is best for them. It might be petrol or electric, it might have 2 seats or 7, or it might even have a top speed of 200 miles an hour. Everyone's different and everyone has different needs, but these needs aren't just about the car. Me, for example, I'd be happy buying a car online. I'd read about it beforehand, I'd watch videos of people driving it, and I'd feel comfortable paying for it without seeing it, for it to be delivered a short while later, just like I would with a new laptop from Apple. For people like me, I'd be excited to buy a car online. I feel like it's a step forward. And that's why most car manufacturers offer some sort of direct online sales journey. Some manufacturers do this really well, while for others, there's certainly some room for improvement. When it comes to offering a successful online experience in the car buying sphere, there are 2 phases to really bear in mind. The first is emotional allure. Although we tend to think that we act rationally, often emotions play a large part in the car buying experience. After all, it's usually the second largest purchase in someone's entire lifetime. It's the product you're seeing in daily, the possession that sits in your driveway. The part of the family that holds so many fond memories and plays such a large part in our life stories. That's why for a large proportion of consumers, the first step they take is an emotional one. We're drawn to brands that we feel we have an affinity to based on their brand story and position in the marketplace. The second phase, and perhaps the more critical, is the logical element. This is where we seek to build trust with the brand and story and product. This is where we as consumers dig a little deeper. We dive into the story and not just the headline. This is where we seek out the nitty-gritty stats and we look for comparative benchmarking. And depending on how strongly we actually fell for the product in the first place, dictates the level of depth that we go to in the second one. Previously, once you've fallen in love with the product, the story was easy. You visit one of the brand's dealerships and prepare to be sold to. Though with these steps now happening online, it's super easy for us to flick between websites to get the information we need. This is actually a challenge for automotive brands, as rightfully each brand puts their products in the best light possible. This means that the brand's own website is rarely the destination for consumers during this phase. Instead, we as consumers seek out independent and impartial reviews and are quick to weed out publications that give glowing reviews for everybody and everything. Here at Carwow, we work extremely hard to give completely unbiased and independent reviews. That's led us to having the world's largest automotive YouTube channel, 1.9 billion views, all from organic users. We've never spent a penny to drive users to the page. Interestingly, one thing to consider is that the journey doesn't end once we've ticked the boxes for emotional alert and confirmed trust during the logical phase. I know what model I want, but where do I buy it from now? Again, it's usually the second biggest purchase in someone's lifetime, so why wouldn't they expect the same quality of service and experience to match? Overall, some customers spend more time in the first phase really falling in love with the product, while some pass through this stage relatively quickly, but instead dig a lot deeper when it comes to the nitty-gritty stats that make or break the purchase. Everyone's going through their own car buying experience, and everyone's looking for different things. Some people like me would be excited to take part in the online journey, while others certainly would not.
You can call me old school, but unlike Michael, I don't want to buy my car online. I'm happy to do the research online, don't get me wrong, but when it actually comes to buying the car, I'd much rather do it in person. I wouldn't have bought my house without seeing it first, so why would I do the same with a car? I can ask questions, get someone else's opinion. I really value that human interaction. Now, I did recently buy a car, and I spent a long time researching it online. I had no particular brand affinity, but spent a long time in that logical research phase that Michael discussed. Once I decided, though, I wasn't ready to commit until I had tried that car for myself and validated my research by speaking to someone. I guess it's no surprise, however, like everything else in our lives over the last 12 months, car buyers like me have been pushed to embrace an almost entirely digital journey. Though I think it's something that we as consumers were already kind of adopting. But the biggest change in attitude, I think, comes from auto brands themselves. Though traditionally long-standing auto brands have had their digital innovation effectively anchored down by the weight of their legacy systems, processes, and of course their physical dealer network, this last year has allowed brands to really tear up that rule book to innovate, not only to thrive, but also survive. I think it's quite interesting that, at least in the automotive space, consumers are much further ahead in terms of attitude to digital and innovation than the actual brands themselves. Other industries paved the way and set a universal benchmark for the buying experience. The automotive has really been playing catch-up for many years. I guess Tesla, realistically, being one of the only brands to buck this trend, probably no doubt in part to not being bogged down by those legacy systems or having a physical dealer network to appease. And many forward-thinking brands have also embraced innovation by forming new partnerships. Against a backdrop of an industry that's shrinking by as much as 40% in the UK, Carwow has continued to grow in every aspect, and as such, we've developed both the breadth and depth of our relationships with brands in the UK. Flick forward, please. But what all this means is that there is no perfect online user journey, only perfect journeys. So the key to a successful online buying experience is having multiple routes that users can choose to take on that journey, rather than a very narrow or linear tunnel with little or no variation. It's the same ethos that the Carwow platform has and is no doubt down to its success. A user is offered choices at every step of the journey. The amount of human interaction in the sales funnel should be as much or as little as the consumer wishes there to be. And like in every other aspect of life, different people have different tastes. So take Howard Moskowitz, an American psychophysicist who was hired by the food company Campbell's in the 80s to help them build their market share of spaghetti sauce. You'll have to bear with me here. So he created 45 different variations of spaghetti sauce, every conceivable way you could think of. Consistency, texture, flavor, color, you name it, feeding thousands of people these variations and asking them to rate each sauce out of 100. Now, fast forward a few months, and Howard had collected one of the largest data points in food engineering at the time. But he didn't look in this data set for the most popular sauce. Instead, he looked to see if he could group this data into clusters and if people congregated around certain ideas. At the time, Howard saw from all of this that the entire American population actually fell into three categories: people who like their spaghetti sauce plain, people who like their spaghetti sauce spicy, and people who like their spaghetti sauce extra chunky. Now, at the time, the third group was the most significant because no brand was actually offering a sauce that catered to those looking for extra chunky. Of course, a gap that Campbell soon filled and used to their advantage to grow into the iconic brand that they are today. It drove $600 million worth of revenue for them over the next 10 years, and to be honest, fundamentally changed the food industry to what it is today, with multiple brand offerings and varieties for all of those products that we know and love. As I said, different people have different tastes. But back to the automotive journey. And it's worth noting that authenticity is also key. Many brands try to ensure that every step of the physical car buying journey is reflected in their online process. But why? I don't think that anyone here would say that the traditional journey of buying a car is the gold standard for customer experience. So why are we using this as the foundation for our online journeys? This is a chance for automotive brands to rip up the rulebook, start from scratch, and really build something that is a joy for someone to engage with. A buying journey that suits individual needs that you can explore, experience, and travel through at your own pace. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us today. If you have any questions, please do come and see us at the Carwow picnic table as well. We're there all day. We'd love to see you there. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Fantastic presentation. Really great insight into the different world of the car buyer. Thank you so much.